Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Random Crafty Acts, or welcome to Random Crafty Acts. If you haven't been here before, my name is Barb. I've been working with card sketches of late, and so this is one that I'm working with. These are by Cards TV. You can find this over on the blog spot. And she's also over on YouTube. So if you go to the YouTube channel, and I'll leave that link below. I don't know that you will find this particular sketch, but you will find her. And you'll be able to find this sketch if you go to her blog spot. And blog spots are what we had before we had YouTube and Facebook. Okay, so I made 2 cards earlier following this pretty much exactly. I use a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 here to create a little bit of a border on my A2 card. And then instead of having a whole piece that goes down here, I cut the pieces on the bottom, as you can see, and spread them out a little bit. And then this piece right here ends up being 2 1/8 by 4 for the top panel. And one of the things I keep running into is I'm just not real crazy about the way this looks. Okay, so I tried moving my sentiment up, not putting this on, and putting a flower there. And I kind of like the way that looks. It makes it a very plain card. And then when you cut these panels that I had done, I think they're 4 1/4, I guess. That's about how wide this looks. When this was when I was playing with my new watercolor set, I was basically testing the different colors to see how they would come out. And this is one of the things you can do and you create backgrounds. And you save them for a time like this when you're just wanting to make some cards. Okay, and then I took that strip and I put it down the inside of the card, so it's like a little bit of a decoration there. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I didn't like the way these looked with black, so I'm going to cut the brown. Okay, and then we'll cut the pieces. So I'm going to use my Fisker here. I think my blade is I think my blade's almost where I need to replace it. But that's one of the things about working with this kind of a cutting device is you do have to replace these blades. And you can tell that because they sell them in packets of 3. Okay, so that's 5 3/8. Yeah, it's getting a little ragged there on the edge. That's usually the thing that I notice. So I'm gonna lay that at 5 3/8. Okay, and then cut this at 4 1/8. And then I get another little strip on this side. But I get 4 pieces out of a piece of 8 1/2 by 11 cardstock, so that comes in pretty handy. And I make some, there's some cards that I make that I use the strips to create create the background. Okay, so I have 4 of those. We're going to use 2. All right, I keep my template close because, me and numbers. All right, so this first strip that's going to go along the bottom, let me lay this over here so we can build as we go. It needs to be 1 3/4. Oh, let's go ahead and cut this at 4. Okay. All right. Okay, so this needs to be 1 3/4. Right, and that goes on the bottom here, and then 1 3/4, and then 1 1/2. And then this piece is 2 1/8. And there's my 1/8 mark there. Alright, so we've got all of our pieces there. Since I'm cutting like this, I'm going to go ahead and cut my other brown piece here. So this is at 4. And then this piece is 1 3/4. This is sketch number 29, by the way. 3/4. I found Mary through Christy Marcotte. Christy Marcotte is one of the other people that I follow pretty close. I've learned a lot from her. She's got some different ways that she does her videos. But I find them really, I have found them really helpful. I'll go ahead and put a link to her below too. Seems like I had more pieces left. Oh, no, I didn't. All right, so those go over there. Is that everything? That is everything. So that's one of the things I do, is I try to do all my cutting at the same time when I'm making multiple cards. Okay, I get these at the dollar store, at the Dollar Tree, for $1.25. Okay, so we're just gonna lay these out next to each other so we can work them as we go. This one's gonna go up at the top. This one goes down at the bottom. This one goes here. This one goes here. That piece looks a little big. Check that. That looks right. Is this the problem? No, that's 5 3/8. Okay, and this just be the way I'm looking at it. All right, let's try gluing one of them down, and we'll see how it looks. I use Barely Arts glue. There are a lot of people who use double-sided adhesive, and that just doesn't work very well for me. But you should use, whatever works for you. I like the liquid glue. Excuse me, because it gives me what I like to refer to as wiggle room when I'm placing things. Okay, and so it looked to me on this sketch like she laid everything right tight against each other, and I like things spaced out a little bit, and that worked a lot better with the 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, which is why I did that instead of, now if I was doing the 4 by 5 1/4 the way she did, I wouldn't be able to do that. Okay, and that does leave a little bit of a space there, so I'm okay with that. All right, and then if I leave this, if I put this here, and I put this bigger flower here, put the flower there, and then put that here. Okay, I'm going to pause the video for just a second. Okay, when I did this a minute ago, well, you wouldn't know it was a minute ago, when I did one with this flower before, and I've got several of them here, so if this doesn't turn out the way I want it to, I'll just make another one. Okay. I decided that I didn't like the way this left like a white edge around it, and so this is sepia, and darkening these edges is not going quite as well as I'd hoped, but it's okay. That's a dauber. Oh yeah, see, I like that a little better. See how it kind of gives me some dimension there. Okay, we're gonna drop this in here. The other thing to always keep in mind with card sketches is, okay, now if you wanted a short sentiment, you could put it there, but this is a longer sentiment, so I'm gonna keep moving it down until I feel like I've got room for it. Most of the time, well, not most of the time, all of the time, the people who make card sketches know that you're going to use them as jumping off points, okay, and that you start with the card sketch, which is what I did, and I made it the way she made it, and then I started experimenting a little bit just to see, you know, it's like, okay, so maybe I could try this. Now, I keep a notebook, and so in my notebook, I will write on here. Different little things that I did, kind of like if you cook, if you bake and you change something in a recipe, you want to be able to keep track of what you changed in case you want to do it again. Okay, now there was a piece that went along the side, and so I really liked being able to lay this on the inside here, so that's what I'm gonna do. I could have saved all of these strips and use those on a separate card, but I really like decorating the inside of the card when I can. All right, so let's try this one more time. And again, see, yeah, you can see these were watercolors. See how it seeped through? And it was a new set that I'd bought, and I didn't know how the colors were gonna play out. So this was like dual purpose. I tested each of the colors in the watercolor in the pan. It came in a pan, and they're little squares, and just, you know, brush them on, and, you know, that way I could tell like what the colors are going to look like and how the paint's going to interact. I had some watercolor paper, but I decided not to use that for this. But that would have been the other thing I could have done when I was doing these backgrounds. Another thing that I could do with this is I could take these backgrounds and I could run them through with an embossing folder. Boy, that's pretty. Okay, I've got one other kind of brush up here that I'm gonna grab and see if I can. I don't know what these are called, but I've got a whole bunch of them. Okay, so, and then that way I get down inside here more than I was able to with the dauber. I made these flowers using my silhouette. So you could do this with a Cricut. Also, if you, I didn't have a die set that did this the way I wanted, so well, that's kind of messy. I did this, I had a pattern on my silhouette that I used instead. But you could do this with a die set. You could also do it with stamps, if you're really good with stamps. Okay. I'm going to edge this too. And this is just kind of experimenting, you know? It's like, did she say to do this? No. Well, I didn't watch a video of her actually making these, which is a little different than some of the things I do. I follow Jess at Jess Crafts, and so with her, I've always watched a video so I can see how she put the pieces together. And then since I learned from her, when I get into a sketch like this, I've got some skills that I can. Oh, it's kind of pretty. Okay, instead of, I go ahead and put this on the inside. Once we, have an inside. Okay, 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 is what this piece is. On an A2 card that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Okay. And see, this was the other thing that I discovered, is that these inks bleed through. So knowing that, now I know where I can use them on my card front and what I may have to do. If I'd like use it on the outside, right on the card front, what I would have to do to fix that, so that it didn't show that it was bleeding through. Which what you would do would be cut a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 and glue on inside. Okay, and then I always stamp the back of my cards with the stamp that my granddaughter designed and gifted to me. It says Random Acts of Kindness Studio. I'm not a business. I'm just a person who likes to do kind things whenever I can, and as randomly as possible, which is why I donate all of my cards, except for the few that, for birthdays and things like that. But I donate all my cards to Cards for Kindness, which is run by scrapbook.com, and it's a big hub, that organization, and they take the cards and send them out. Okay, so you can see here that this is where it started. This was the first one that I did. I know when I did this one, I wasn't real crazy about the way that turned out. So the next one I did that with, and then did these. So I have 5. That's nice. All right. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would appreciate if you would do so. Subscribing to my channel helps me get these videos out to other beginning card makers, which is what I always link my do the hashtag link in my videos, so that beginning card makers will find us, because this is how I learned, and I'd like to be able to share that. So thank you very much.